Here we have our wooden form laid out, rebar in there, getting ready to go. We got to tie up our rebar. And here you'll see we got some wire, we got some pliers. We tie it up so it doesn't move around or anything like that and lose the squareness. A little bit of a dugout, put the gravel in, waiting for the concrete. We put the concrete in, and then here's about half of it. And once we get the concrete all the way in for half of it, we put the rebar on top. You see that lay in here, and then we're going to put the rest of the concrete in. We screed it off, and what we did was we put a little paper form over the top of it so we could know where to put our rebar. No big deal. Here's what a rebar looks like. Now we know where it's going to go. We know where the blocks are going to go in relation to it. We had some bad weather coming up, some heavy rain, so I kept it covered up, even though I still hosed it down for about the first 20 days or so it dries out evenly. Sweep this bad boy off, get it nice and clean. Alright. The whole idea of this is just to lay out the first box. Alright, I don't even know if I've been shot, I can't tell. But something I had to think about was, where do I start? Well, even on the first course, and then subsequent courses. Start at this end, work my way around, start this way, work my way out on the east side, do what? Well, it came to me that I want these to be the same. And these grout thicknesses, you know, spacers were pretty cool drawing it out. But I'm not sure they're doing much after that. So what I do is I put the corner, which if I was going this way, I put the block here. That way I know I can keep it lined up.
all right, I can keep it lined up. And then I start in the back and work my way forward and across. That way I can keep my square. So I got first one here, second one over here, and then I work the corners. All right, coming this way. Because I want this to stay. If I lay all this out and I got the last one hanging over 1/4 of an inch, that ain't gonna cut it. So what I'm doing is like you saw, okay? So if I can stand back up, we'll do it. Well, that ain't perfectly level, I can tell you that. I'd like to say I'm getting better at this. I'm not. All right, sports fans, we have got the walls up. We have got the support up. You can see around here a little bit. That's a tarp on top there. The reason for the tarp is we've had quite a bit of rain in North Carolina here lately, so that's not cool. And we've got that little center support, which is helping to support the tarp into a tent so it doesn't fill up and create a big thing. Now, you heard me mention when I talked out, I don't know the sequence on this, but I originally was going to put a small wooden support in here so I could stack my wood, but I'm going to put a bigger one. I'm going to make it 4x4. All right, I'm going to put a 4x4 in each corner and a 4x4 right on the edge here on each edge, and with supports going across. And what that will do is help support the weight of that huge pad and all that ungodly brick and everything that I've got going on top. All right, I know it ain't pretty, it's not the best job and everything, and I've got some cracks to fill up. But before I put the wooden support in, and I can't start the pad till I do that, but once I get the wooden supports in, then I can start the pad. But again, before I put the wooden supports in, I want to parge the inside. I'm going to fill in all the cracks, and I'm just going to take some mortar mix and parge the inside so that it's nice, smooth, looks clean, looks nice. Yeah, I'm a little anal on that, so we'll get that done, and then it's cleanup time and start to work the pad on top. And you'll see in this section, if I haven't already put it before this, which it doesn't make sense to put it before this, so it probably came after, how big the pad's got to be and how I laid out my bricks to figure out the size of the pad to go on top. 2 pads on top. 3-inch concrete pad to hold things because it's stronger, and then a 5-inch perlite pad for heat retention. Not for strength per se, but for heat retention, okay? Because concrete and heat retention, nah, not the same. They don't mix. All right, she ain't perfect. She's like me. She ain't perfect, she ain't pretty, but she works. My problem is, I think I'm about to quit working with my back. All right, we'll be back. All right, take 3. Now what you see here are the bricks that I'm going to use for the oven floor, and I'll tell you what those are off to the sides. I'm laying it out so I know exactly what size pad to build. Okay, I don't want to build too big, too small, or whatever, so I'm trying to lay it out as best as I can. My original goal when I started this was a 27 by 36. Well, it doesn't work out that way because of the dimensions. These bricks are 2 by 4 by 9. All right, so there's no way I'm going to get 27 going across unless I cut a brick, and I'm not doing that. So it's just 28, no big deal to me. All right, so it's 28 by 36. And to be honest with you, you remember my deck, I'm pretty sure, you know, how big I built that, way too big, and I like to name things, you know, so I call it Biggest Deckus. When I built Biggest Deckus, I got carried away, and I don't want to get carried away on this for a number of reasons. Weight, cost, you know, the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to leave it at 27 by 36 and hopefully bite the bullet that that'll work. I think that's still enough cooking room, and if I go too big, I don't know if I'd ever get it heated up. All right, so that's what we're going to do. All right, so we got the bricks laid out here. Let me get my pointer again. Okay, that's the floor all the way across there. The idea that you see this little piece of wood sticking out, what I'm going to do is put down a 3-inch concrete pad and let that cure. And while that's curing, I'm going to parge the outside. I will parge the inside as soon as I'm done explaining this, and the reason for that is, well, I got to go to Lowe's to get some materials. But the reason that I want to parge it is obviously to help protect it, keep the moisture out and things like that. But I need to parge the inside so that I can go ahead and build my wooden support frame. I was going to have a wooden frame inside there anyway to hold my wood. But I'm also, since I'm not, turned out, okay, you pros make that block work look a lot easier. Hire somebody. While I'm pretty sure it's okay, I'm still going to put now a much more substantial wooden frame inside to help take the load of everything going on top, because there is going to be a load on top. And I can still use it for a wood holder, no problem. But that's the plan, Stan. All right, so what are some of these other things that I've got? All right, let me get my pointer up here again. See that little piece of plywood right there? That's a 1/4 inch piece of plywood. What that signifies is all the way down and around the entire size of these, I'm going to have a 1/4 inch gap between the second pad, which will be made out of perlite. It will be 5 inches thick with a 2-inch depression. And then I'll put a 1/4 to 3/8 inch sand inside. That way I can keep my bricks level. The bricks that don't look level right now, that's simply because it's a crappy piece of plywood. But, you know, who's paying $60 for a sheet of plywood to use as a form and throw it away? I'm sorry. I had this from before. I'll use it again. All right, so I'm going to have a gap around there. That gap will allow me to be able to remove bricks and replace them should they become damaged, broken, severely chipped, or anything like that. All right, so it's no big deal. That's what that 1/4 inch for. This brick right here, that's signifying the brick that's going to go around and form the dome. Okay, so that tells me I need to have 28 and a 1/4 over here and a 1/4 over there, so that's 28 and a half, then 4 and 4, and then add 8 to that. And what this vertical brick is a close facsimile of the insulation. There you go, work brain. Believe it or not, it's like 6:45 in the morning. Okay, so that's going to be the insulation, and so it's going to take up space. All right, and we'll talk about insulation when we get there. I am not using fiberglass, and I'll explain to you why. All right, so what does that leave me? That leaves me about 3 to 4 inches here of space, and I've got no problem taking that final wall, which is going to be the insulation wall, the perlite again. I've got no problem taking that all the way out to the edge, which means water would just cascade over versus pooling on top. I am going to have a 12-inch lip here overhang, and I'm going to put tile on that. And the reason for that is I want to be able to transition pots and pans out and be able to lay it on something. I don't want all of a sudden my gloves to fail, or it's hotter than I thought, or whatever, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with this pan, end up throwing it back inside and messing up my stove or whatever. It's just a work area, that's all it is. So it's a 12-inch work area, no big deal. All right, and in the back side, I'm going to do the same thing, only it won't be 12 inches. My final dimensions of my pad is going to be 48 by 64. That'll obviously give me my 12-inch overhang on this side, and it'll give me some overhang on the back side as well, which will allow me to help keep moisture and water when it rains and comes off the roof, everything, you know, from going into where the wood is. So that'll help me protect that just a little bit. And I'll probably put enough material there to where it's a slant. It's not like a flat area. It'll be a continuous slant. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so that's the plan. I've gone over each and every brick. These are not necessarily the best brick, but if I find ones better, I'll replace those that I don't like. But you know, they're fire bricks. You're not going, it's like any other brick. You're finding the perfect brick ain't gonna much happen. And I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My 4 and 7 is 28. I did that without new math, okay? So I got 28 bricks there just for the floor alone. And they all have to be leveled and put together. Again, let me point out, remember, a lot of people will tell you to do a herringbone so that your thing will slide and glide across there and all that. I don't have the cutting capabilities, and I certainly don't have the equipment to do that. And once again, when I go over the cost of just the materials, I think you'll see that there ain't no way in the world I'm going out and buy a cutter or rent a cutter or whatever. Plus, while most people would work all day, I can't do that. My back won't allow me to, and it's close to a little after 7. or somewhere around there. And I'm dripping sweat like crazy already. So the humidity here in North Carolina this time of the year is ungodly. But that's the plan. 45 by 64. And I'll take it out all the way to the edges with the insulation coating and add the fake brick veneer. And hopefully she'll look pretty good. Okay? We'll see how that goes. Catch you later. All right, take 15. Well, it's 7:48 in the morning, and I just brought this camera outside from an air-conditioned house into this hot, humid North Carolina, so my lens keeps fogging on up. Hopefully it'll stop. Let's take a look at the frame system, the support system that we're going to build our 3-inch concrete pad, and that's going to hold the perlite pad, right? All right, now there's a couple things you need to know. You need to, especially if you're newbies, all right? Let's say you want this hole to be 48 by 62, 64, whatever, all right? And you're going to put these on the inside. Well, just because you want the side to be 64, remember, this has to be longer because you have to compensate for the 1.5 inches up here you're going to take up and the 1.5 inches down there you're going to take up. So you're not going to cut this 64, you're going to cut this 64 plus 3. All right. And if you say, well, I'll tell you what I'll do then, I'll just put this one on top. That'll solve that problem. No. Because then you have to lengthen this one 1.5 inches on either side. So just be aware of that. Now you should also notice that I've got some marks. Okay. What these marks are is going to tell me how deep to put the bottom. And you'll see how in a second how we're going to do that. And you'll see that's telling me that's 3 inches. So this is how deep the pad's going to be. All right, so there's the bottom. Basically just a sheet of OSB, an old sheet. But if you'll notice on the side here, I have some 2x that I've ripped and put on there. And that's how I'm going to adjust the depth of this thing, okay? No big deal. Could I have cut that? Yeah, I could have, but then I would have wasted those 2x6s. So I don't want to do that. I had some old 2x 4s and I just ripped them in half, and you'll see how this works. All right, let me turn off the camera here, mount it up, and I'll show you how we're going to put this inside the frame. All right, so we got our form made. What's the idea of this thing? This is going to go on top of the block work. Okay, going to be filled up with concrete halfway. We're going to put a rebar in there for strength, and we're going to fill it up the rest of the way, and we're going to screed it just as smooth as we can. Remember, newbies, screeding is nothing more than running a 2x4 and maybe a trowel over the top, getting it as flat and as clean as possible. One thing I will do, there's going to be another pad on top of this one, okay? So I will put 3-inch pieces of rebar, 1.5 inches in 3 different places, so that when I do the Um, I need more coffee. So that when I do the perlite pad, those will go up into it and keep it from shifting. Not that it ever would because of the weight, but it's just additional safety things, you know. So it's something that's going to keep making sure those pads never do this kind of stuff. All right, there's the front of it. Yeah. Whew. There's the back of it. First trick, other than all these other tricks, getting this on top of that. That's me and the old lady.
All right, this goes on and on and on what seemed like for hours. All right, open the bag, put the bag in of concrete in the wheelbarrow, shoot it full of water till it mixed just right, and then continue on and take it up and dump it in and trowel it nice and smooth, relatively speaking. For what it's worth, I use the same concrete that I use for the lower pad, which is the Sackcrete 5000. No commercial. I don't get anything from them. It's just what it was recommended to me. Did my research, and I agreed with the recommendation. All right. So I'm not going to show a whole lot of this stuff here. Like I said, it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. One thing I didn't get very well on camera was the putting in the rebar. I had a nice rebar grid put together, wired all up, and what I put that in by going up on the gazebo and putting it in from that direction, and then getting it up on back up on the ladder and moving it into a better position. Um, Let me tell you guys, if you're if you're in your 70s like me, those 80-pound bag of concretes are bears. So it's really nice to have someone to help you if you can. One of the things I was worried about, every now and then, you just saw right there, I shot a little bit of water up on top, and I did that a couple of times because I was taking far much longer than the work time with the concrete. I started at about 6:30, and just to finish that little pad up there took me, I guess till about 10:30, and the other half actually came out and gave me a hand going around hitting it with hammers to get the bubbles off the sides. And so newbies, if you don't know that, if you've got a pad like that, you need to take a hammer and just whack on the sides of it a little bit, and what that does is that breaks up the bubbles and gives you a much smoother, nicer visual side, and that's about all it does. It kind of helps separate it too from the wood, which is something I'm not looking forward to because I forgot to treat the wood before I put the concrete in there. So what do I mean by treat the wood, newbies? Usually I just take some WD-40, or I did with the pad below, that's not usual, the edge of the wood really well, and That helps release the board from the concrete. So I'm a little panicked here about how hard is it going to be to get that OSB off the base of that thing, considering what I've got to do to lift it up to get it out. Oh well, we'll see. All right, so enough of this stuff. We'll see how it goes, and finish this video up here pretty soon. All right, here we go. Once again, like I said before, ain't pretty, ain't perfect like me, but it will work. It will kill.
And before I play the Beatles song, a short while ago, you know, the program of the Beatles channel called Novice.
Hey everybody, I thought I'd do a kind of like a quick summary here. First of all, we are 2 videos into this project. I'm going to post video 1 and video 2 at the same time, all right? And it's going to be a couple weeks before I post another one, because I'm going to give that pad that I just poured, well, I didn't pour it, kind of mix it and put it together. I'm going to give that pad a good couple of weeks before I start messing with it. I'm a big believer in letting concrete cure. It's a 3-inch pad, so a couple of weeks ought to be good enough for me to work with it and be safe. I don't want to do anything. But there's a couple of things I wanted to go over, and there was I want to go over some problems and lessons learned so far. Total newbie, first time, okay? I've been laid on the block, but I've never laid block, so it's been exciting. First of all, I really want to apologize about the quality of the production. I mean, I really miss Movie Maker. I do. And I know you guys are getting ready to say, well, you can find Movie Maker at such and such location and download it. I've been to every one of them dadgum locations, and it's just not working. I ended up getting into advertisements. It doesn't download. It doesn't open. So, and the one that I bought, I'm not going to tell you what it is, and I'm not certainly going to mean mouth it, because I know it's me, but it seems like I try to do something one time, and then the next time that I do it, it don't work. But so if you're on this thing here for production value, go talk to Steven Spielberg, okay? Don't talk to me. I'm not worried about production. I just wished I could do a little bit better job for you, but yeah, it don't look like I am. All right, so go for the information. Don't worry so much about the production value. And yeah, Steven, your job is safe. That's for dang sure. Okay. If you remember at the beginning of this video, I showed you the pad that was done. And I kept mentioning rebar, and it wasn't very clear that rebar goes in 2 places on the lower support pad, the big 6-inch thick one, all right? There's rebar inside that for strength, all right? And then there's rebar that comes up, which you saw, which is going to provide strength for the wall, all right? So you got inside rebar, strength for the pad, and upright rebar, strength for the wall. Now, one thing about that upright rebar, so don't waste time writing me up, because I know, you gotta be dadgum careful. That's a safety hazard. Wow. Usually, which I don't show in the video, I would put Coke cans, Coca-Cola cans or Pepsi cans, whatever I had, some kind of metal can over each of those rebars, so that if I accidentally stomped on it or fell on it or whatever, not a total impalement. And you got to be dadgum careful squatting down, or you're going to get a prostate exam you will never ever forget, and you don't want to do that. So be real careful if you use you do it the way I do, and put a Coke can or something over the top of that. Just be careful so you don't get hurt. Okay, so what are some problems I've encountered, and what are some things that I've learned as a total newbie in this? So total newbies, maybe you'll learn it too. First of all, I already knew this, but dang it, I'm old. Them 80-pound bags of concrete are killing me, and I'm glad I don't have to mess with block anymore. The next thing I gotta mess with is little bricks. Well, that's after I get the perlite pad done, of course. But I just have to deal with the little bricks and mixing up some more perlite. Try and get someone to help you out. I'm retired. I'm the only guy in the neighborhood right around here that's retired, so nobody can help me much. And all my retired friends live too far away to come trucking in and to help out. But if you can have some help, it's fine. Not only is it easier on you, but at the same time, like when I was mixing that concrete up, doing the pad, I was trying to work as fast as I could because you can only work with concrete so long, and you don't want to make it too watery because that makes it weak, especially the Sac Creek 5000. The lady that I talked to at that company said, don't overwater it because you'll weaken it significantly. So I was doing my best trying not to get it too watery, which means it takes time. Although I was, if you notice, once in there, I sprayed some water up there. Well, I did that more than once. Just to keep the top a little bit wet till I get the next few containers back up there. So if you got some help, get some help if you can. Tell you the truth, when it comes to that block work, pad isn't that hard, but when it comes to that block work, if I had to do it over again, and I was going at that block work, if you notice, that's over the top of my head. I'm 5'10". Used to be 6'2" and gorgeous. This is all that's left, but I'm 5'10" right now, and that block work's higher than me. If I was going to do one that height again, no, I'm getting me a pro. I don't care what I gotta sell to get out there and get me a pro to do that for me, just a block work. But I'm not going to do that no more because I want to be able to trust it and I want it to look nice. And I think I can trust that thing, especially even though I'm going to back it up with a wooden support. But what the heck? I'd rather be safe than sorry. You know what I mean? But consider hiring a pro if you're going to go high. If you're going to go low, no more than 4 or 5 levels of block work, yeah, I'd do that. I'd do that again, but I wouldn't do it if I was going real high. 4 or 5 feet, that'd be about my limit. Make sure you can find everything. And I told you the story that the game that Lowe's is playing, right? They're only putting their high temp mortar mix at the store in Charlotte, which is right around the corner from their headquarters. Okay, so I got to drive 2.5 hours just to get high temp mortar, and it is coming in at $75 a bag. I know I said earlier it's coming in at $70 a bag. Guess what? The price has already gone up again just at the start of this project from 73 something to 75. And that ain't even with taxes. And my little 10% vet thing, it don't put much of a hole in that, trust me. But make sure you can find everything that you need to find. And do your research, because there's bad sand and there's good sand you can use if you're going to make your own refractory. There's good lime and there's bad lime. I have not been able to find good lime. Every lime that I have found, when I flip the bag over, call the company and go, hey, here's what I want to do with your lime. I want to mix it with some fire clay. I want to mix it with some Portland cement, and I want to mix it with some sand, and I want to make me some refractory cement to go into a pizza oven. Every one of them said, don't do that. Don't do that. You'll get cracks. Ours is not chemically structured for that. You'll have to find some lime that is chemically structured for that. Chemically structured? Okay. You know anybody's got some? No. Have a nice day. Alright, so do your research. Me, I've decided that as long as they'll keep putting that $75 bag of stuff up there, if I've got to drive up there, then I got to drive up there. If I've got to spend the money, I've got to spend the money. This bad boy is not coming in cheap. Anytime I want to do something that I know is going to cost a little bit, I get me a coffee can, I put it to the side, and I put some money in there so it's not a big exciting whack to the savings account. Well, my savings account's going WTF, mate. What's going on?
So just be careful and make sure you can find everything, and you can go back and get more if you need to. Bricks shouldn't be that hard to find. Block not hard to find. Mortar mix not hard to find for in between the concrete, I mean the cinder blocks. Okay, use type S, that's what I would recommend. The concrete's not hard to find. Rebar is not hard to find. The killer is going to be if you're just going to use the actual bag of refractory mortar. That is a bear to find, and it's a bear to find the correct type of lime. Sand, not that hard to find the correct sand. You just got to do your research, know where to get it. But that lime, that's getting as hard to find as the other stuff. All right, enough of this stuff here. Learning that water mixture with the mortar mix that was going in between the blocks and everything like that. That was a challenge. Okay, and if I probably did this a lot more. If you did it a lot more, if this is your first time, you'd probably be better than you're gonna. I don't know. Maybe you're just gonna step on up there and just whack it out and do good. You've heard me say this a number of times. Boy, you pros make that look easy. That's why you're called a pro. Okay, I understand that. Yeah. If I was gonna go 4 or 5 level of block, I'd do it again. If I'm going 9 levels of block, oh heck no, call a pro. Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. All right, video 1's going out, video 2's going out, and here's my $2, what I call my $2 hooker moment. And if you see my other videos, you know what I'm about to say. I hate saying this, but everybody says you got to do it. All right. If you want to make sure that you don't miss anything, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. There you go, $2 hooker. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way when something comes out, yeah, it'll come up and it'll find it. I've actually got some subscribers. I hadn't lost as many as I thought. Wow, that's cool. Hang in there. Glad to see you. Yeah, you still out there, Sandra, and you too, Paul, and a couple of you other guys. So subscribe to the channel, if nothing else, for just to follow this thing out and then chuck me off to the side like all the women in my life. I don't know. All right. Catch you later. Have fun. You're trying to find out if you're going to do this or not with yourself. It ain't hard, but it's challenging depending upon your age and your availability of materials. I tell you. Bye.